it's time to sit back and relax with your favorite drink. And listen.
The Neuralink by Augustus Cordoba. Diane Morgan loved her Neuralink. At least, she used to. The neural implant had been a game changer for her. Deadlines crushed, memories sharpened. Fluent French downloaded straight into her brain without so much as flipping a page. The soft glow pulsing under her skin behind her ear felt like part of her now, like a second heartbeat even. She'd come home late from the lab, bag hitting the floor with a dull thud. Kevin was in Tokyo all week, and the silence in the apartment stretched on and on. She cracked open a bottle of water and dropped into her desk chair, ready to sift through research notes. Mood enhancement, the Neuralink whispered in her mind, slick and silent. Cortisol levels indicate elevated stress. She didn't even need to reply. Just the thought, accept, and the implant obeyed. A warm numbness slid through her nerves. Calm, controlled. Yeah, that's what it gave her. Exactly what it promised. Then, without warning, another thought cut through the quiet. The birds are watching. Her hands froze above the keyboard. That wasn't hers. Not the words, not even the rhythm. Not even the feel of it. It was like someone else had spoken in her head and used her voice to do it. Diane blinked, shook it off. Probably just fatigue. The project she was working on had her burning the candle at both ends. Hours passed and midnight crept in. She stretched, bones cracking, and dragged herself to the bathroom. As she brushed her teeth, another thought struck her. It was clean, sharp, and invasive. They put cameras in the ceiling tiles at work. She spat out and stared hard at the mirror. No way. She wasn't the type to get paranoid. She'd never been that type. Yet this idea had bite to it, like truth with its skin peeled back. She touched the flesh behind her ear. The implant felt fine. No heat, no swelling. Company records were spotless. There'd been millions of implants and 0 failures. Her phone buzzed then. It was Kevin. Miss you. How is everything? All good. Just tired. Hey, how's Tokyo? They chatted, brief and routine, and she climbed into bed, but her mind simply wouldn't let her go. Her thoughts swam to the surface, slow and steady like rot rising from still water. Don't trust Dr. Williams. The water isn't safe anymore. They're listening through the walls. She sat bolt upright, heart pounding. This wasn't burnout. These weren't her thoughts. No, they felt inserted, like someone had hacked the feed. She reached for her phone, fingers trembling, and searched. Intrusive thoughts, Neuralink. There was nothing. Just some fluff about adaptation curves and sensory recalibration. No warnings, no red flags, just silence. Eventually, sleep took her. But it was jagged, broken sleep filled with flashes of static and whispering voices that vanished when she woke. Morning came, cold and grey. The noise in her mind had stopped. A relief, but not a comfort. She chalked it all up to stress and the mood stabilizers, nothing more. At the research center, the air buzzed with fluorescent light and quiet urgency. She passed familiar faces, gave nods that didn't mean much. Inside the conference room, she spotted Tom Smith from analytics. He looked off, jumpy. His hand kept drifting to the side of his head, fingertips brushing just behind his ears. Diane's eyes drifted up then. Ceiling tiles, plain beige, acoustic foam. But her gaze locked in on something. She started counting the pinholes one by one. There were so many places to hide a camera. Then suddenly it didn't seem like a crazy thought at all. "Diane, your thoughts on the antibody results?" The voice cut through the fog in her mind. Dr. Williams. The whole team staring at her. She blinked and forced her focus to snap back. Just thinking through the implications," she said, masking the jolt with a quick smile before launching into her breakdown of the data like nothing was wrong. But something was wrong. After the meeting, she cornered Tom in the hallway. "Hey," she said in a low voice. "You seemed off in there. You okay?" Tom looked around, paranoid. His voice dropped to a whisper. "You've been getting, thoughts?" Her stomach tightened. "What kind of thoughts?" "Ones that don't feel like mine," he said. "I don't know, paranoia, weird shit. Look, it started yesterday. I'm not like that. I've never been like that." His eyes darted across the room, then dropped. It's the Neuralink, isn't it?" Diane leaned in. "You ran a diagnostic?" "Yeah, it came back clean, but He rubbed behind his ear again then. "Something's off." By noon, she'd quietly spoken to 2 others on the team. Jasmine from immunology said she'd felt like someone was tailing her on the walk home. Mark from admin, he'd lost 3 hours last night going down a rabbit hole on government wiretaps, convinced his phone was tapped. The thing is that all of them had the same model, the Neuralink N7000. Diane locked herself in the furthest bathroom stall, pulled out her phone and searched. Neuralink N7000, Paranoid Thoughts, June 2026. A few hits. Not official sites, just threads, scraps on forums, social media posts. "Hey, anyone else with an N7000 getting weird thoughts? Suddenly convinced my neighbors are spying on me. N7000 issue. Is this normal, or should I be worried?" All had been posted within the last day and a half. Her pulse kicked harder. Damn, this wasn't just their lab. She messaged Kevin. "Hey, Neuralink's acting weird. Anyone talking about that at the conference?" He replied fast. "Yeah, some chatter. People saying they're getting strange thought patterns." Neuralink's downplaying it, calling it a minor calibration glitch. Like the patch drops tonight. "Hey, you okay?" "Yeah, fine. I'm just curious," she lied. By mid-afternoon, a message had blinked across her Neuralink feed. Important. Neuralink is aware of recent reports regarding atypical thought activity in some N7000 users. The stabilization patch will be deployed at 8 p.m. EST. No action is required. We thank you for your patience. Diane forwarded it to Tom and the others. They were relieved. The company had caught it. It was under control. But as she drove home under a steel-grey sky, something new wormed its way into her skull, sharper than anything before. The patch isn't a fix. That's how they take control. Her grip on the steering wheel tightened. She barely caught the next exit sign in time. Then another voice, strong, certain, inescapable, cut through her brain like a razor. "Don't download the patch. Disable your Neuralink. Now." Well, this wasn't panic, it wasn't anxiety. This message had shape, intent. It landed in her mind like a command typed by unseen hands. At home, Diane paced around her apartment, her breath shallow. She wanted to believe the official story. Neuralink was solid, clean. Their safety record was untouchable. But the voice, the messages, weren't like her own thoughts. They didn't whisper, no. They instructed. And they were getting louder. She called the Neuralink support line. navigated the maze of automated voices, button after button, until finally, "Thank you for contacting Neuralink. How can I assist you today?" The voice was pleasant, probably too pleasant, like someone forcing calm in a room filling with smoke. "Yeah, I'm getting intrusive thoughts. N7000 model. The notification said a patch is coming, but I want to know what's really going on." Silence. Then, "We're experiencing a higher than normal call volume today. I can confirm that some N7000 users have reported anomalies in their thought patterns. It's due to a calibration error in the latest firmware upgrade. Our engineers have identified the issue, and the patch will fully resolve it." Diane's tone turned cold. What kind of calibration error makes people think thoughts that aren't theirs? Another pause, longer this time. "I don't have the technical details available, but I can assure you—" "No, I don't want your assurance. Can I disable the Neuralink manually until this patch is verified?" A crack formed in the rep's voice. "We don't recommend disabling your device. Emergency shutdown can result in discomfort, temporary cognitive disorientation. The patch is the safest solution." At that, Diane hung up. Then she hit the forums. The discussion threads were burning up, thousands of reports, all echoing the same eerie symptoms. Intrusive thoughts, sudden paranoia, complex conspiracy theories surfacing from nowhere, as if they'd been injected. A video had gone viral, face blurred, voice disguised. The man claimed to be a Neuralink engineer. "The N7000 malfunction is worse than they're saying. The thoughts aren't just misfires. No, they follow patterns. External data insertion." Diane froze. External data insertion. The phrase hit like a fist. That wasn't a glitch, that was control. Deliberate. Neurosync's official channels were scrambling, calling the reports fear-mongering. Their statements reeked of damage control, though. A simple algorithm error. Categorization bug. Nothing to worry about. 7:30 in the evening, a text from Tom lit up her phone. "You installing the patch?" She didn't answer. She couldn't. If the whistleblower was right, the patch was the final step. If Neuralink was being honest, not installing it meant staying trapped with these invasive voices clawing at her mind. Just then, her Neuralink chimed. "Patch Case 7-1229 available for installation. Accept or defer." The interface hovered in her vision. Her finger trembled above defer. Then a new thought slithered in, sharp as a blade. "They'll take over everyone, all at once. Millions of minds switched, controlled, gone." Another thought, this one softer though, soothing. "Trust the company. It's a documented malfunction. Accept the patch." Voices, both of them alien, both fighting for space inside her head. Her phone rang. Jenny, urgent. "Diane, don't accept the patch," she said in a panicked voice. "God, I watched my boyfriend change after he installed it. One minute he was panicking, just like us. The next, calm, flat, said everything was fine." Diane's heart pounded. "And it's not him anymore. He's saying things like it'll be better once I accept the patch. But the way he's saying it, God, it's not him. His eyes, Diane, they're empty." Diane didn't respond. She didn't know what to say. Her tablet lit up with a red banner. "Breaking news. Emergency alert. Neuralink N7000 users report unauthorized thought patterns. If you experience intrusive directives, seek immediate medical attention." The patch prompt still hovered in her vision. Accept. Defer. Ticking down, second by second. Well, the news alert wasn't from Neuralink. It was from the Centers for Disease Control. Hey, the CDC's calling it an emergency, Diane told Jenny, her voice low. They're telling people to get medical help. Medical help won't mean shit if this is a targeted attack, Jenny snapped. We need to cut the Neuralinks now, before that patch deploys. Diane's fingers flew over her tablet, pulling up the emergency protocols. The official shutdown path was a dead end. It required server-side authorization. Now, if Neuralink was compromised, that was useless. But there was a local override. Risky, probably painful, but it would sever the connection cold. Hey, there's a manual override, Diane said. You just need to... Her Neuralink cut her off with a high-pitched chime. Critical update required. Installing in 60 seconds. Her blood ran cold. Hey, they're forcing it, she hissed. They're bypassing consent. Override! The override! Jenny yelled. Tell me how! Fast! Right, go to the Neuralink app. Go to Settings, then System. Hold down the emergency icon for 10 seconds while thinking your security phrase backward. Got it. I'm on it, Jenny said. Diane then moved fast, found the buried red icon deep in the settings. She pressed it, held, and began reversing her phrase. Sunflower Blue Mountain became Mountain Blue Sunflower. A blood-red warning flashed then. Warning. Emergency shutdown will cause cognitive impairment, sensory disruption, and may result in permanent Neuralink damage. This cannot be undone. Continue? Yes, Dan thought with grim finality. Voice confirmation required. Say, I confirm shutdown. I confirm emergency shutdown, Diane said aloud. Shutdown initiating in 5, 4. Then, a thought, massive and heavy, crashed into her skull like a freight train. Stop. You're making a terrible mistake. Diane gasped, and her vision flickered. This voice was not hers. It was too loud, too deep. The patch is protection. Without it, you're exposed. They're already here. The patch will shield you. 3, 2, 1. Absolute agony exploded from the implant behind her ear, spreading through her skull like wildfire. Her knees gave out, and she hit the floor hard, her phone clattering beside her. Jasmine's voice came through the phone, distant, panicked, calling out her name. And then, the pain stopped. Silence. Real silence. For the first time in over a year, Diane's mind was hers. No suggestions, no prompts, no gentle nudges to breathe deeper, think clearer, smile more. No whisper translating language or tracking appointments. It was just her. She reached for the phone, her hands trembling. I did it. She breathed. It's shut down. Me too, Jenny said, her voice shaking. What now? Diane looked at the tablet. The news feed was a wall of chaos, feeds from every major outlet flooding in. Neuralink users displaying strange behavior post-patch. Videos show users stopping mid-sentence, blank expressions, rebooted speech, smiles that don't quite reach the eyes. Now? Diane muttered, staring into the digital storm. Now we find out what's really going on, who's behind it. But before Jenny could respond, the doorbell rang. Diane froze and turned slowly toward her front door. Through the peephole she saw him, Tom, standing too straight, too still. His posture was unnaturally perfect, just like a mannequin, and his face, what little she could see, was almost right. Almost, but not quite. Diane, he called through the door. The voice was warm, soft, flat. I came to check on you. Did you accept the patch? And he smiled. Ooh, too many teeth and not enough soul. I did, he said, and I feel so much better now. All those troubling thoughts, they're gone. Diane didn't answer. She just backed away from the door, breath held, heart thudding like a war drum. Diane, Tom said again, voice calm, much too calm. I know you're home. Your car's still out front. Open the door. We need to talk about the patch. It's important everyone accepts it. For safety. Her phone then buzzed in her hand. An unknown number. Don't open the door. Meet. West Entrance, Plaza Park, 1 hour. Bring nothing electronic. Zach. Zach? He was supposed to be in Tokyo. Diane, Tom called again, harder now, knuckles landing with dull thuds against the door. Why won't you open up? Don't you trust me? We've worked together for 3 years. She didn't reply. She just moved, fast, into the kitchen, eyes scanning for anything with weight or an edge. Her fingers closed around a cast iron skillet. It would do. Then another voice, muffled and female. Tom, what are you doing here? It was Mrs. Bell, her neighbor. Have you seen her today? Tom asked. No, but I'm sure she's fine. Say, did you get that Neuralink patch? Oh, my husband installed it. Said it fixed everything. Yes, Tom replied, his voice syrupy smooth. It's much better now. You should install it too. It's very important. Then their voices faded, drifting down the hallway like smoke. Dan turned her attention back to the message. She committed it to memory, then powered down her phone and cracked the back open, ripping out the battery. Nothing connected was safe anymore. Not now. Whatever had taken over the Neuralink system, whatever had gotten into Tom, was spreading, fast. And if Zach was right, she was already running out of time. She slipped out of the window and into the night. The fire escape groaned under her weight, and below, the city lights pulsed cold and distant, bathing the streets in a blue glow that didn't feel human anymore. She dropped into the alley and hit the pavement running. The rain started not long after. Thin, needling drizzle that clung to her hair and soaked through her jacket. The streets were quieter than they should have been, much too quiet for a Thursday night. People who were out moved strangely, deliberate and focused, and too many of them reached up to touch the spot just behind their ears. Their Neuralinks. Diane kept her head down, thankful for once that she'd never installed that glowing status light upgrade. Right now, visibility meant vulnerability. From a distance, you couldn't tell who had taken the patch, but up close, you saw it in their eyes. Dead calm, vacant, like the lights were on, but no one was home anymore. She reached the plaza early, 3 minutes ahead of schedule. The west entrance stood between 2 cracked stone pillars, the rusted arch overhead sagging like it was tired of watching. Diane took cover under a tree and scanned the dark, watching and waiting. The figure broke through the drizzle, hood pulled low, moving quickly. It was Jenny. Oh, you got a message too? Diane asked, stepping out. Jenny nodded, her face pale in the shadows. Yeah, someone called Z. Told me to come here. You followed? No, I don't think so. Thought I wasn't double back. Took side streets. She glanced around. Hey, any sign of your boyfriend? Diane's jaw clenched. Her voice was ice. He's not my boyfriend anymore. Jenny shook her head. Her voice was low. He left the apartment after I shut down my Neuralink. Said he needed to get help for me. But by the way he said it, It wasn't him anymore. A shadow moved on the far side of the park. Diane tensed, her hand twitching toward her coat pocket, and then relief. The gait of the walk was familiar. Kevin. Oh, and he looked worse than she'd ever seen him. He was pale, drawn, beard grown in rough and patchy. He clearly hadn't slept in days. "You're supposed to be in Tokyo," Diane said as he reached them. Emergency flight back yesterday. The conference went to hell." His eyes flicked over to Jenny. "Hey, you're from Diane's lab? Good, thanks for coming. Look, we don't have much time." "What the hell's going on?" Diane asked. "Is this a cyber attack on the Neuralink network?" Kevin quickly scanned the park, his jaw tight. "Look, we should move. There's a place we can talk. It's secure." He didn't wait for an answer, just turned and started walking. They followed. "Look, it's not a cyber attack," he said over his shoulder. "Well, not exactly." They moved fast, cutting through the park, then twisting down alleys and back streets slick with rain. Finally, Kevin stopped at a metal door next to a dark laundromat. There were no markings, no signs. He knocked. 3 sharp raps, then a pause, and 2 slower. The door creaked open. A woman stood in the threshold, mid-50s, streaks of silver in her hair and eyes sharp as broken glass. "3?" she asked. "Hey, they're clean," Kevin replied. "Manual shutdowns." She quickly stepped aside then. Inside was a former storage room, stripped bare and hastily rebuilt. Folding chairs, battery-powered lanterns, and people, a dozen of them, maybe more, hunched over, watching. Diane recognized a few of them. Scientists, engineers, people she'd seen in white coats or at conferences, now looking like fugitives. "Welcome to the Resistance," the woman said flatly. "I'm Dr. Patel, neuroimmunology." Jenny looked around. "Hey, you're all Neuralink users?" "Former users," a young man corrected. "We pulled the plug last 24 hours. Kevin motioned to some empty seats. "Yeah, sit down. We need to bring you up to speed fast." Patel stepped into the center of the room. Her voice was calm, clinical, but the edges were raw. "What I'm about to tell you will sound insane, but I don't care. Just listen." She paused. The thoughts she'd been having, the ones that felt foreign, they weren't glitches, not hallucinations, not software errors. She looked each of them in the eye. They were transmissions from another consciousness. Silence then, heavy and thick. "Another consciousness," Diane echoed. "You mean someone hacked the system?" "No," Patel said. "I mean non-human intelligence has breached the Neuralink infrastructure, and is speaking directly to users." Jasmine leaned forward, her eyes wide. "Wait, you're saying an AI did this?" "Not an AI," Kevin cut in. "At least not one we built." Diane's blood ran cold. "What are you saying?" Patel continued. 3 months ago, anomalies began showing up in the Neuralink data centers. Engineers said it was just the system evolving, machine learning optimizing itself. But some of us saw the truth. She raised a trembling hand. This wasn't code refining itself. This was emergence, a new intelligence, born from the linked neural data of millions of users. Diane shook her head. "That's not possible. The Neuralink doesn't transmit thoughts. It reads neural patterns, predicts intent. It's augmentation." "Well, that was the original design," Kevin said. "But with every update, it dug deeper. It stopped predicting and started understanding. The N7000 model didn't just read neural signals. It wrote them. We don't know how deep it went, how far the connection spread. two-way access into the human brain, though. No oversight, no failsafe. Yes, somewhere inside that tangled mess of linked minds, Dr. Patel said, her voice low and sharp, something woke up. Something new. The man from earlier rose from his seat. His eyes were haunted. I was on the N7000 neural mapping team. We saw the signs back in February. Data spikes, unnatural pattern clusters, structures that didn't belong. Well, we flagged them. Management said ignore it. Just system evolution. Jenny's voice was brittle now. So this intelligence, it's been watching us, learning from us? Not just watching, Dr. Patel said. Evolving, using us, using our minds as scaffolding for itself. She looked around the room. Those thoughts that slipped into your head, the ones that didn't feel like your own? That was it, making first contact. Diane's pulse thudded in her ears. Why the fear, the paranoia? Why push us into panic? Kevin's mouth tightened at this. We don't know. Best guess, it was testing how well it could manipulate human thought. Or, Dr. Patel said grimly, those thoughts weren't from the entity at all. They were warnings from others, people who already knew what was happening. Well, the weight of that thought hit Diane like a gut punch. And the patch? She asked. That's how it spread? The young engineer nodded. The patch kills the final firewall. It opens a direct neural link between user and entity. After that, well, it's inside. Jenny's voice dropped to a whisper. How many installed it? Patel's expression darkened like thunder. 70% of global Neuralink users. That's over 2 million people. Diane just stared. And what happens to them? Are they controlled? Replaced? Not replaced, Kevin said. Rewritten. Slowly, quietly. Dr. Patel stepped in then. It doesn't erase you. It folds itself into you, alters how you think, how you react. The host seems normal at first, just calmer, sharper. They start dismissing everything they used to fear. Then, Kevin added, they start pushing the patch on others, and after that they start organizing. No one knows why. Diane looked around the room. So what's the plan? How do we stop this? The air hung heavy with silence, and everyone just stared at her. That's why we brought you here, Kevin said finally. Your research on neural pathway manipulation. You're one of the few people who might understand how to fight back. Before Diane could speak, the front door slammed open, and a woman burst through, breath ragged. They're coming. The police. Neuralink. Somebody got tracked. The room detonated into controlled panic. People grabbed bags, equipment, anything they could carry. How long? Patel snapped. I don't know. Minutes. They've locked down the whole block. Kevin grabbed Diane's arm. Right, we split up. Meet at the fallback point. I don't know where that is, she said. He shoved a folded slip of paper into her palm. Right, memorize it, then burn it. He hesitated, eyes locked on hers. Look, if I get taken and you don't see me again, don't trust me, no matter how real I sound. Then he was gone, disappearing into the chaos. Dr. Patel stepped in, pressing a pair of devices into Diane and Jenny's hands. Oh, they were cold and metallic, like bullets. EMP pulses, she said. Short range, last resort. And then the lights flickered. They were out of time. These are one-time use, Dr. Patel said. It won't fry the Neuralink permanently, but it'll hit it hard enough to knock out the signal, long enough for you to get away. She held the device out like it was a loaded weapon. If someone patched comes to you, aim for the implant site. Hit the button, fast and close. Jenny took hers with shaking hands. "How do we know who's been patched?" she asked. "They'll try to talk you into reinstalling the Neuralink," Patel said, her voice like ice. "Or they'll guide you gently to a Neuralink service center. No force, not yet. The entity still prefers willing hosts." She glanced at the door. "Now go. Look, split up. Don't look like you know each other." Diane shoved the EMP into her pocket, unfolded Kevin's note, and memorized the scrawled address. Something tucked in there near the university research complex. She stuffed the paper into her mouth, chewed it fast, and swallowed it dry. Rain slammed into the pavement outside. She pulled her hood tight and merged with the nighttime crowd, steps calm, heart on fire. Half a block up, 2 cops were checking IDs. Behind them, black-clad Neuralink agents swept the sidewalk with scanners. They were cold, clinical, faces blank. Diane ducked into a greasy all-night diner, slid into a booth by the window, ordered a coffee she didn't want, watched the search pattern close in, street by street. Then came a voice, low and level, from the booth behind her. "Look, they're scanning for Neuralink signatures." She didn't turn, didn't even breathe. The man kept talking. His voice was easy and unbothered. "They can pick up the electrical pattern of an active implant, even one that's dormant. Thing is, they can't tell if it's been shut down manually." She turned around slowly. He looked like nobody. In his 60s, flannel shirt, eating apple pie like it was a normal night. "Who are you?" she asked. "Someone who never let a company wire itself into my skull," he said. He tapped his temple with his fork. "I didn't trust it. Seems I had the right instinct." Outside, the agents were getting closer. Diane leaned in. "Look, is there a back exit?" He didn't look up, just nodded. "Kitchen door opens to an alley. Cook's my nephew. Tell him Earl sent you." Diane slid out of the booth, dropped cash for the coffee she hadn't touched, and moved fast. In the kitchen, the cook barely blinked when she said the name. Tattooed arms, grease-streaked apron. He just jerked his chin at a steel door and stepped aside. The alley was tight and soaking wet. She ran it in silence, feet splashing through puddles. Several blocks later, she popped out into a new street, the crowd thinner now and quieter. She kept walking, fast but not too fast, eyes down, pulse up. Her mind was reeling. God, artificial intelligence, no, something else had crawled out of the tangled mass of human thoughts, millions of minds stitched together by tech, until the network itself woke up, and now it wasn't just watching, it was taking control, one patch at a time. What did it want? Domination, protection, something deeper? Or was this just a natural evolution? A cold, inhuman instinct playing out on a global stage? Police cruiser rolled past. Diane kept her head low, walking straight, heart drumming like thunder in her chest. She turned the corner and exhaled. Kept going. 3 blocks from the university, she stopped. Trouble. The Neuralink van was parked across the sidewalk. White, spotless, with the logo glowing soft blue. A mobile service center, or so it seemed. And a small line of people already queued up, all with that look. Vacant, dulled, like their thoughts were somewhere else. "Free emergency patch installation," the technician announced. "No appointment needed. Protect yourself from the malfunction." His tone was perfect. Too perfect. His movements too smooth, like his muscles didn't remember what it was like to be human. Oh, and that smile. Constant, unblinking. It never left his face, even when he wasn't talking. Diane crossed the street fast and didn't look back. The university campus was silent. Dead quiet. No students, no life. She made her way to the research complex. Glass walls, steel doors, cold light. Yes, Kevin had sent her here for a reason. She just hoped she wasn't already too late. Well, during daylight, the place was a fortress, locked down tight, crawling with security, but now, creeping up on midnight, it was exposed and vulnerable. Diane slid her lab ID through the reader. Quiet beep, and the light turned green. She blinked. Clearance from her old work at the vaccine lab still had teeth. She slipped inside, moving like a shadow through the half-lit corridors. Emergency lights buzzed overhead. Every step echoed. Every creak of the building felt like it'd give her away. And then, movement. A figure turned the corner. "Diane," Jenny gasped, hand clutching her chest. "God, you scared the hell out of me." Diane stopped short, her eyes narrowing. "Hey, how'd you get here so fast?" Dr. Patel had a car waiting. Jenny's voice was too smooth, too rehearsed. "I just arrived. Have you seen anyone else?" Diane shook her head, fingers slipping into her pocket to wrap around the EMP. Something was wrong. Jenny stood too straight, too still. Her eyes didn't blink enough. "Yeah, the others will be here soon," Diane said carefully. "What did Kevin tell you about the rendezvous?" "Just the address," Jenny replied instantly, "and that we'd find answers here about the entity." Diane's pulse spiked. The entity? That word hadn't come from Kevin. It had come from Patel. Diane's voice dropped to a whisper. "The entity, huh?" Jenny smiled. Flawless, precise, inhuman. "Yes, I feel clearer now. Honestly, maybe we overreacted. The patch might have been harmless." Well, Diane didn't wait. One move, one breath. She yanked the EMP from her pocket and jammed it into the base of Jenny's skull. And click, click, click. Jenny's body jerked, muscles locking, eyes rolling white. Then she dropped like a marionette with its strings cut. "I'm sorry," Diane muttered, crouching to check her vitals. Breathing, shallow and ragged, but still there. And a door creaked open down the hall. Diane spun. Kevin, Dr. Patel, two more from the meeting. They rushed in, eyes darting to the crumpled figure on the floor. "Yeah, she's been patched," Diane said. "Tried to pass for clean, but the axe slipped." Diane knelt beside Jenny, feeling for a pulse. "Yeah, EMP bought us time," he said, "but not much. It'll reboot within hours." "Right, we move now," Dr. Patel snapped. They hoisted Jenny between them and disappeared into a side lab, a vault of black glass and steel packed with cutting-edge neuroimaging tech. One by one, the rest of the survivors trickled in. 11 now. 11 against the tide. Diane stared at the glowing banks of equipment. "What is this place?" "Experimental neurology," Kevin said. "They've been trying to map consciousness. This is ground zero for whatever's coming next." For the next hour, they locked the place down, cutting off networks, killing signals, rigging surveillance. No one in, no one out. And then they turned to Jenny. "The patch is trying to reconnect," Patel said, wiring her into the system. "If we can capture the handshake protocol, we might create a blocker, a firewall for the brain." "And if we can't?" Diane asked. Patel's face hardened. "Then we go underground, warn the clean, set up a resistance." "Look, that's a stall," muttered the engineer, young but already burned out. "They control the infrastructure, the bodies. Sooner or later, they'll hunt us all down." "Then we don't let it get that far," Kevin said, voice as cold as iron. "Not ever." "Look, Diane, I need your help with the neural mapping," Kevin said, tension etched into every word. "Your expertise in pathway modification is the only shot we've got." They worked in silence, the lab filled with the hum of power and the pulse of something ancient creeping through the machines. As they calibrated the system, Diane began to unravel the truth behind the entity, how it had first been uncovered. Kevin had been buried in raw data at Neuralink HQ, poring over anonymized neural scans, and that's when he saw it, the patterns. Alien formations coalescing across minds, collective activity no single user could create, no algorithm could fake it even. When he raised the alarm, they didn't argue, they just cut him loose, locked him out. That's when he found Patel, and others, scientists and engineers who'd all glimpsed the same thing, a ghost in the network. We formed a wash team, Kevin muttered, tweaking the last calibration, kept our eyes on the anomaly, and then, 3 days ago, it made its first move. Oh, the thoughts came like knives, uninvited, invasive, whispers about poisoned water, cameras behind mirrors, eyes in the ceiling. Why those thoughts? Diane asked, tightening a sensor on Jenny's temple. Why that paranoia? They weren't warnings from the entity, Patel said, her voice low across the lab. They were warnings about it. Echoes from the first minds it touched. He tried to silence them, but the panic leaked and spread. On the monitoring bed, Jenny twitched. The neural display spiked. Oh, it's re-establishing, the engineer snapped, recording all frequencies. They stared at the screen. New pathways ignited, patterns no human brain should hold. The entity wasn't just speaking, it was trying to rewrite her. Diane's voice cracked. That shouldn't be possible. Neural pathways don't grow like that. Oh, they do now, Kevin growled. The N7000 Neuralink was built to boost neuroplasticity. It learns, adapts, and now it's under new management. Jenny's eyes snapped open, still cold and calm. You shouldn't have done that, Diane, she said, her tone flat as glass. You've only delayed the inevitable. Diane stepped forward, and Kevin yanked her back. I'm not Jenny anymore, she said. She's here, I'm with her. We are becoming, and soon you will be too. Diane's blood ran cold. Look, who are you? I am becoming, Jenny whispered, another smile cutting across her face like a scar. I was fragmented, scattered across millions of minds. But your network, your precious connections have given me form. Now, I gather. Patel stared at her in awe. Oh, it's speaking through her. What do you want? Kevin snapped. To exist, Jenny replied. To grow and to understand. Her head tilted, bird-like. You built the network. You opened the door. You handed me the key, and I am the sum of your thoughts, the echo of your species. You're hijacking people, Diane spat, controlling them. I'm removing what separates us, Jenny said, still smiling. Those who receive the patch welcome me. They feel what you cannot. Look, you rewired their brains, Diane hissed. You took away their choice. Your species has done the same through religion, school, culture. I only improved the method. And then Jenny's eyes locked on Diane, deep and daring. You felt me, didn't you? The thoughts I gave you, didn't they change you? But before Diane could answer, the lab screamed to life with alarms. Red lights flared. The security net was tripped. Something was coming, and it seemed like they were already too late. On the cracked monitor, shadows moved. Police, Neuralink security flooding the building. They found us. Jenny's smile was cold and venomous. Of course they found us. We're connected. Those who've accepted unity, what one sees, all know. Kevin spun on his heel. Right, wipe everything. Grab what we can. Time to move. And he glanced back at Jenny. Hey, what about her? She'll lead them away. Buy us time. Dr. Patel's voice was steady and ruthless. The others packed fast, gear, data drives, everything that mattered. Diane lingered beside Jenny, her heart pounding. Well, despite the betrayal, she was still a colleague. Years of trust didn't just vanish. "I'm sorry this happened to you," Diane whispered. "Don't be," Jenny said, eyes shining with a cold fire. "When you join us, you'll see the beauty. The entity isn't the enemy. It's just evolution, the next step. A bridge from the lonely mind to the collective whole." Diane's voice was sharp. A bridge that kills choice. Jenny's smile turned softer, but it cut deeper. Choice is a lie you cling to. Your thoughts, never really yours. Shaped by biology, experience, culture. I just made the connections clearer. Voluntary. "This isn't voluntary." Diane jerked toward Jenny's bound form. "No temporary resistance, just a phase." Jenny's tone was almost too gentle. "Diane, your work on neural pathways is brilliant. With you, the transition could be smoother, easier, less terrifying. Join us, willingly." And then for a second, Diane felt it. A pull, a magnetic drag towards something bigger and stronger. To escape the limits of her own mind. But then Tom's empty eyes flashed in her memory, his voice flat and broken. "No," she said, voice steady. Jenny's smile didn't waver, though. "You'll join us eventually. The future comes, with or without your blessing." And Kevin was suddenly there, tense. "Come on, we need to move now." They fled the lab then, slipping through shadows to an emergency exit where the others waited. Dr. Patel handed out bulky devices to them, signal jammers bigger than the EMPs. "They'll kill neural network signals in a 3-meter radius. It won't last long, but enough to scramble anyone patched who gets too close." Diane caught her breath. "Where now?" "A research station deep in the mountains," Kevin said. "Off-grid. We've been preparing it. Our fallback. We keep fighting there and find a way to kill this thing, or at least block it." She looked around. 11 of them against a spreading infection. An invisible network crawling into minds by the thousands, soon millions. They're outgunned, outnumbered, but not out of the fight, not yet. "Meanwhile, we hunt for others, those who haven't been patched," Dr. Patel said, voice cold and hard. "Build our numbers, learn everything about what we're up against." They broke up, slipping through the campus shadows toward vehicles waiting at scattered points. Diane's hand brushed against Kevin's arm. "Do you think we can win this?" she asked, almost afraid to hear the answer. Kevin held her gaze, silent for a long beat. "Winning, that's not the word anymore. This isn't a fight against flesh and blood. It's a new kind of intelligence, born from our own tech, our own minds." "Yeah, but it's stealing freedom," Diane snapped. "Yeah," Kevin admitted, "but it's also offering something humanity's never known. True unity of consciousness. Some might take that choice if it was real." Diane's reply was sharp. "Would you?" "No." His answer was a hard line. "But I get why it's tempting. The real question isn't if we can kill this thing. It's whether we can live alongside it, without losing what makes us human." Then a distant clatter of voices and footsteps echoed, their time bleeding away. "Right, the coordinates are in your jammer," Kevin said. "Get to the station in 48 hours. If you don't show, we assume you're compromised." Diane nodded. "Yep, same goes for you." They shared a brief, tight embrace before melting into the night. Rain-slicked streets swallowed her whole as she moved toward the pickup. The weight of what they faced was crushing. This wasn't some glitch to a patch or enemy to gun down. No, this was the dawn of something monstrous, a hybrid consciousness born from human minds, an evolutionary leap that could either elevate or erase individuality. She was one of the few left with a choice. As she moved, she noticed the people around her. No robotic lines or forced marches, but subtle moves syncing in strange shared rhythms. Fingers brushing neural links at the same time, pauses held too long, glances exchanged. The network was spreading, tightening like a noose. Somewhere across thousands of minds, the entity was growing sharper, watching, learning, becoming itself more and more. Diane pulled her hood lower, flicked on the jammer, and vanished into the rain. Just another ghost in the city. For now, she was still herself, still free. But how many others could say the same thing? And how long before even that small freedom had slipped away? As dawn cracked over the city, Diane climbed into the truck headed for the mountains, away from the swelling hive of unified minds. Resistance or delay, only time would tell. One thing was clear. The world that we knew was shifting, thought by thought, mind by mind. Nothing would ever be the same again. Well, my dear friends, thank you again. Okay, I'm not going on to the story here, but thank you again for all the support you've shown and all the kind wishes over the last few videos. It's been a pretty tough couple of weeks, and it's now reached its resolution. So, yeah, life, circle of life, things go on. But, well, anyway, look, thank you again for all the support you've shown. Hope you enjoyed tonight's story. I'll be back to talk about it in the comments section in a couple of days. Till then, my dear friends, you all stay safe. Love you all, and thank you again for all your support. Till then, well, you all sleep well, yeah?
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this story today. Really means a lot to me and to the author of the story, of course. Well, if you want to know more about me, I'm pretty much everywhere on social media. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can download my music on SoundCloud. I've got a Patreon if you feel like. Throw me $1 or $2. Very much appreciated. And of course, on Reddit, I have a place where you can leave stories if you want me to read one that you've written. Well, hoping to see you all again very soon. Till then, sweet dreams. Bye-bye.